Hello everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Culture Cast. Today we have a special guest on, Piper Moretti. She's been dubbed the Crypto Realtor. We're going to find out more about that. We also have Maria Sing-Song with us, who is our local expert on all cryptocurrencies, and Ella, who is not too far behind as well. So today's show is going to be very exciting. We're going to talk about how cryptocurrencies and the blockchain are going to play an important part in the future of real estate. First of all, I'd like to introduce our guest, Piper Moretti. Piper, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
As you know, I'm a crypto realtor. I'm in Los Angeles, in the South Bay, which is kind of the beach cities down here. Don't hate me because it's like 75 degrees right now.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Jealous.
Sorry. But yeah, I'm relatively new to real estate. You know, I mentioned this at Inman. I'm not shy about it. I've only been in the space for about 3 years. And about a year and a half into it, some people, randomly found me online and wanted to look at houses down here and said that they wanted to pay in Bitcoin. And so that is how I got into it. And I didn't even realize that this could be a thing until after my fourth transaction. I thought, oh, okay, I need to look into this. So here I am.
Yeah, so when I met you at Inman Connect this year, you were one of the speakers there, and you really, I really went there, to be honest with you, to find out if cryptocurrencies and the blockchain has made its way into the real estate industry. And to have you there speaking on stage was like the perfect treat for me. It's just like my eyes lit up when you started talking. And you told this great story about how you had your first transaction with someone who presented the idea to you to buy in Bitcoin. But then everyone around you was kind of like, what is that? And are you trying to steal our house? And it was kind of like, can you briefly tell the story? You don't have to go in so much detail like you did on stage, but it was an amazing story, and I think everyone will get a good treat out of it.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It was a struggle from beginning to end, but we made it happen. And the seller was on board. She was just happy that somebody wanted to basically pay cash for this $3.3 million house. How she got that cash, she didn't care. But it was the seller's agent that was, kind of old school and very skeptical. And, like I said, on stage was, finding just about every reason not to do the deal. It is a risky thing. I certainly would not risk my license on a scam, but I believe these people and I knew that they were good people, and I just knew that this was like a newer way of paying, and I didn't really realize that we were going to be quote unquote kind of pioneers in this whole thing. But and at the end of the day, after lots of negotiations, we got it done, and that was kind of the first step. And then I ended up doing 3 more with these same buyers because they just had a ton of Bitcoin.
That's awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so halfway through the transaction, your client actually had to solidify themselves by going out and buying a fancy car. Can you tell us that story? I thought that was awesome.
Yes, and that really helped us. So yeah, when we were in the escrow process, Bitcoin spiked, as it tends to do, and he made a ton of money and decided that he was going to go out and get his Lamborghini that he always wanted. And so there is a Lamborghini dealership down in Newport Beach that accepts Bitcoin. So I said, oh my God, go get it. Give me the receipt. Give me whatever you got. Give me your salesperson's number, whatever we can do to help prove that this is not fake internet money, and he did, and that I submitted that to escrow and the seller's agent and everybody. I said, look, he just got this really expensive car with this kind of money, and it happened, so that actually was tangible proof that, okay, yes, you can purchase big ticket items with this new form of currency,
Yeah, that's an incredible story. I can't wait till I go buy my Lamborghini with Bitcoin. Yeah, actually, there was someone on YouTube who actually did a video and said, I bought this Lamborghini with $150. and it was actually like money that he got from the increase of the value of the Bitcoin that he initially bought with $150. So, I mean, I don't know whether that story is 100% true or not, but I can see how that is very possible.
Oh, it's very possible, extremely possible. Do you mind if I ask a question?
Do the same thing with a house.
Piper, I have a quick question for you. So I think that there's a huge misconception about Bitcoin and the currency itself, that it only is usable for transactions, for money transfers. So maybe you can shine a light, or maybe somebody here can shine a light on it. What other concepts do you know, or maybe that you've heard of different projects in the works that maybe could be utilized in the real estate space?
You mean just like blockchain technology itself?
Exactly.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, and I say this over and over again. I mean, we are at the very beginning of this technology, and we're at the forefront of it. And we're not. And it's kind of like the internet was, 20-something years ago, where we're like, okay, we've got this amazing thing. It's going to be really cool once we figure out how to use it. And it's the same. It's the same with blockchain. And as I'm not shy about saying, I'm working with a startup right now who is in the process of putting, transactions from end to end, on the blockchain, and making everything accessible to the public, where, the property, the title, the actual smart contract, or actually they're not actually doing smart contracts per se, but they're doing the contracts. And, what could be, and it's just going to hopefully revolutionize, the way that we do real estate. We're not going away. We're just going to kind of morph into, more like project managers, I think, because you still have that, the hand holding and all the things that, kind of go along, the compliance and everything that we as realtors have to do. But as far as getting the transactions completed, if this comes to fruition, we can do deals in, a matter of days rather than, a month or 2 months. And it can also be, as blockchain technology is, immutable, mitigate risk, mitigate fraud, and everything is public record. So, there's a lot of really awesome possibilities out there.
Do you mind sharing with us what's the startup's name? Because I've done a little bit of research, and Louis and I have spoken.
I think I found you, Piper. I saw Piper Moretti on a company at Inman Connect. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yeah. Yes, they were there. It's cprop.io. They were actually in Startup Alley. It was a really good show for them. But yeah, so far and I signed on with them because I feel like they have a handle on what's really needed to, kind of merge technology and real estate.
Yeah, I think one of the co-founders was on a .loop team that built that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they have some experience when it comes to this real estate and technology as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a perfect storm.
What do you think about these new the new startups, Maria? With
I think they're actually they're pretty much needed in the whole ecosystem, because otherwise we will be stuck for a long time within the old technology. And even with them in the mix, we're still kind of inching little by little only, not really big leaps. So the more you have in there saying something and innovating, the more chances you'll get.
Absolutely.
Piper, quick question too. When do you think that, realistically speaking, time frame wise, when do you think that something like this could be utilized, like through the first transaction? Do you think it's going to be in a year, 2 years, 3 years? What's the estimated time frame?
That is so hard to say. I can only kind of speak in CProp's time frame. I mean, their tokens are going to be coming out hopefully at the end of this first quarter.
Oh, wow.
And if that happens, then then the technology itself, is obviously tokenized, and then we can start kind of rolling out slowly, like maybe like a beta version or something. But I mean, it's not going to be worldwide just yet. They're based in Ohio for all intents and purposes, and then I'm in California, so we're kind of concentrating on those markets right now. I can't wait to start using it. I'm excited to be, kind of one of the first people to get in there and fix all the bugs and everything. But we're talking about, it's going to be it's really so hard to say because every state has its own way of doing things and its own disclosures and its own practices. So they have to be compliant with not only just every state, but if they roll it out to other countries as well. So it's making, and I think a lot of these other ICOs don't understand what it's actually going to take to mitigate like lawsuits. So I'm hoping the rollout can, at least the beginning of the rollout can be this year sometime. That's, I'm being conservative.
Yeah, the possibilities for the blockchain in the real estate industry are pretty endless. You could do so many things with it, and there's a lot of startups now. One of the main ones that I've been focusing on that I actually sent an email to who I want to communicate with is Rex MLS. Rex MLS, are you familiar with them?
A little bit, yeah. I was following them for a little bit. They're out of Texas, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and they've got their own token. I haven't really been following them in the last couple of months or so because I've been so involved with street prop.
I don't know how it works in your area, Piper, but in New Jersey, there are so many MLSs that you need to belong to be an active real estate agent. They're so territorial, and you get fined left and right if you list a property in the wrong MLS because of territorial lines. So I'm not sure how many MLSs you subscribe to, but we're members of 5 or 6 MLSs here, and that's not even including commercial. So I always said to myself, why can't we just have one MLS? Like just one MLS for everything. And I've always thought that, the powers that be are just probably not allowing this type of thing to happen. But now, with this new rollout of blockchain technology and people being rewarded in tokens or people being rewarded in other ways to put the data in there themselves, almost kind of like a Wikipedia style, right? This can create an MLS worldwide like they're trying to do. And I would be a big proponent of it. I would sponsor them for free. I mean, I would do as much as I could to make sure that technology gets the attention it deserves. But I'm not sure how it works in California, but here it's a much needed tool.
It's needed here too. I just concentrate on Southern California. I mean, there's a couple up north, there's a couple down here, and there's actually a few down here. But in my particular area, in the LA area, there are 2 that I have to subscribe to. To get that information. But I just read, in the news yesterday that there's a couple of congressmen, bipartisan, who are trying to update, the real estate laws to make this listings basically public. Yeah. For real, and not just like, Zillow public. We're talking like real time, updates and stuff like that. So, to get rid of the MLS in general, I'm going to chastise for this, but I won't miss it at all if it goes away.
Now, what if Rex MLS decided one day to say, hey, we're going to make this not just for real estate agents, but public for everyone? Would that hurt real estate industry, you believe? Do you think that the need for a real estate agent would disappear at that point? Because a lot of people feel that the realtor just puts their property on the MLS and walks away. I don't know.
Yeah,
we don't do that.
Right? And that happens sometimes, unfortunately. I can only speak, the laws in California, I mean, like I said, there is a disclosure for everything. And because of that, each disclosure, each line in our RPA represents a lawsuit that happened at some point, and so we're there to, like I said, handhold, and it's an emotional process. It's a big life decision, and a lot of people don't want to have to do that themselves, and sift through the legal stuff and, make sure that they're not getting a lemon, and so I'm going to remain optimistic at this point, even if it were public information. The thing that is obviously kind of annoying about, Zillow and those companies is just that, the information can be old, or inaccurate, and you still have your clients say, hey, what about this house? Yeah, how come we haven't looked at this one? And they send you a screenshot from Zillow, and you're like, oh my God, and so you have to do the backtracking and find out what the deal is with, and why is it not on the MLS but it's still on Zillow, and I think all that, in a perfect world would go away, but I feel like there's there's still going to be a need for us, because the paperwork is 5 inches thick, and who wants to have to deal with that and try to live their lives at the same time while buying a house,
Yeah, that's a good point. That obviously there's always going to be that human element that it's going to be missing from the transaction. But Maria, do you have any questions about the regulatory? Because this is something I think you've been picking up recently that might be the reason why cryptos are kind of taking in the chin this week.
Yes. So Piper, this is my question. When things are going up, then of course it's very easy to convince the seller or the buyer. I mean, the buyer is less convincing, but when things are going down or fluctuating so much, like what we've been experiencing for this first month of the year, how do you find the homeowners or the sellers becoming more and more convinced, or are they less, are they conservative about it? How has it changed for you when you're...
It hasn't changed that much. Crypto as a whole is not going anywhere. It's just we just have to figure out how to get along, with government agencies and how that's going to work worldwide. And I've done a lot of my transactions when it was below 4,000. We got spoiled really fast. Because of the and it was, I don't know, like around 9,000 last time I checked, like an hour ago. But 9,000, we were freaking out about that in November, and how short, time has it been? It jumped up to 20, and now we're like, oh my God, the world's ending. It's at 9,000 again. So it's the people who are believers are still going to believe in it, and they're still going to want to buy, and they're still going to want to, use this amazing technology. The people who are standing, on the sidelines, kind of watching and a little afraid of it, those are the ones that are going to be, more skeptical, obviously. I get inquiries almost daily about how can I sell my property in crypto. So for me, it's still new, and it's still exciting for people to enter into this. So we kind of freak out a little bit, and people are panic selling, but it's gonna, what goes up must come down. So I really don't see any kind of a downward trend for me just yet. Anyway, I'm gonna knock on wood on that one.
No, that's great to hear, because with the clients that we're serving, we serve some central banks, and funnily enough, right, we're seeing a lot more central banks from the emerging markets that are easier to warm up to it, and so they're the ones who come first to the table saying, yes, let's regulate this, let's make sure that everything is nice and neat. So which is kind of a reversal from how you would see it otherwise. Usually they'd be the ones looking up to the developed markets, seeing what they would do. In this case, it's different. They're coming first. They're getting organized first, and in this bigger scheme of things, I'm thinking it actually helps adoption, because it evens out the playing field across the globe, and it just forces the more developed markets to really pay attention to it. And all the pullbacks that we're seeing now is kind of tainted by that, but at the same time, it's much needed, and so there's somewhat of a change of hands that's happening where it's becoming more and more mainstream now. And I think, all the regulations that are being slapped on it would just make it healthier and sustainable in the long run.
I hope so, yes. I agree.
Yeah, I think that's needed in any market, any industry. Once there's a little regulation, not too much regulation, there has to be some sort of a balance, because obviously we don't need the government controlling every aspect of our transactions or our life, but there needs to be kind of like the big brother that's kind of making sure that everything is up and up. There's some insurance in place, and there's some checks and balances in place, so that is important. And once that gets, I guess, what that's in place, I think this will go from being the Wild West to being just another asset class or maybe another technology that's utilized readily in everything. So yeah, I think we're starting to see the beginning of the pre-internet, like you said earlier. This is a really exciting time that we're in, and on this one, I think that I'm going to be one of the early believers, as opposed to, like I've kind of been a skeptic for many years. So it's
Took some time.
yeah, I think cryptos that went from being just for the techies and the doomsday preppers and those type of people to now being more accepted, kind of almost worldwide. So we definitely got to pay attention. when the world speaks and technology is speaking, you have to listen. You have to see what the trends are.
Absolutely, or you will be left behind. There's no doubt. I mean, it's proven time and time again.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who are still trying to figure out how to use their email, and those people are becoming obsolete. That's not a good.
Some agents that don't like to use DocuSign.
I know. I don't want to be in that boat for sure. So I'm going to share with you some first, Piper, that we're getting ready to do here in our area. So I'm not sure if you know of anyone or if you've ever been paid in Bitcoin or in cryptocurrencies. So we're setting up to do the first payment from broker to agent in cryptocurrency. I'm not sure if you've ever had the pleasure of getting paid in any crypto in California. Have you ever heard of anyone being paid like that before?
You know what? Not through the broker. I actually, this last deal that I did, it was more of a consulting fee, and I did get paid in Bitcoin, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm working on that part. So I'm hoping that my brokerage will be open to that.
That's awesome. And what we're trying to do also for our short term, but kind of long term, maybe midterm goal, you can call it, would be to have every person involved in the transaction from A to Z, from the buyer to the seller to the inspector to the title agent to the attorney, everyone be compensated in crypto. And maybe have that be a first ever, to have every participant in a transaction compensated in Bitcoin, and see how that goes. And maybe we can make some
wonderful.
And we can make some history.
Yeah, that would be great.
So stay tuned for that one.
Yeah,
awesome.
great. Good luck with that.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to get a lot of believers. So Piper, thank you so much for joining us today. You've been an absolute pleasure. I'm not sure if you guys have anything else to add, but it was really
Piper, yeah, it was pretty sweet. I think that when I came in and spoke to Louis about crypto, actually Maria brought it up. She was the first person, and she spoke to us about Ripple when it was at like 25 cents. And she said just buy into it, and I waited and I bought it at 88 cents, and right now it dropped down to 88 cents, surprisingly. But I've made some gains on that one. But when I spoke to Louis about crypto, I never really realized what change it would be, especially in the real estate space. I never really kind of thought about it being merged and making something happen. So I think that just being extremely lucky to be part of something like this, and I know that we haven't done anything right now, but it's going to be something, and I think you pioneered definitely it being in real estate, and we're definitely going to make some moves when it comes down to that. So I'm extremely excited, and it was a pleasure speaking to you and hearing your story, because we're definitely going to be following it for sure.
Cool, for sure.
Awesome. No, my pleasure, and hopefully we can all work together on this, because I think there is only a real handful of us right now, or very few of us, I should say, who are really interested in this and wanting to adopt it. So yeah, it'll be interesting what happens in the next year or two.
For sure, absolutely. Maria, anything?
Piper, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
And by the way, it's so nice to see a woman kind of charge at this in California. So
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like the oddball here. I'm the only guy.
That's true.
That's all right. Well, thank you so much, Piper. We'll be in touch, and if you ever need us on the East Coast, we're here for you.
Great. Stay here in California, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.